Arkansas lawmakers back in that building right there for this year's fiscal session, where they will talk all things spending, including the governor's $6.9 million proposed budget.
Now, they got together for the first time since a proposed prison failed to get funding last year. Now, the question hanging over this session, will they try again? But today, the governor took center stage while her opponent, coming in November, offered alternatives. Thank you for joining us tonight at 6. I'm Jurnee Taylor.
And I am Rolly Hoyt. Just a few hours ago, Republican Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders gave her State of the State address with Democratic State Senator Fred Love following in response. And THV 11's Catherine Rowley heard both speeches in person.
She joins us now live from the Capitol with the recap. Catherine.
Well, Rolly and Jurnee, it's good to be with you. That's exactly right. The governor addressing both branches of the Arkansas State Legislature, the Senate and the House today, talking about a lot of different things. Three important ones: the economy, education, and food insecurity. That is facing many Arkansas families. The Democrats on the other side say this was led by the governor candidate for the Democrats, Fred Love, that there are crises that Arkansas is still facing.
The governor said in her address that education has been her top priority. The LEARNS Act is now in its third year, and Sanders mentioned how reading levels have risen in almost every grade, pointing to the national education rankings that climbed from 43rd to 36th.
LEARNS wasn't just about investing in education freedom. It was also the largest investment in public schools in Arkansas history.
In response, State Senator Fred Love, who's running against Sanders in the governor's race in November, pointed to the school voucher program. The governor has $309 million in the budget for that program. Love says that money is being pulled from Arkansas's public schools.
While we have the bulk of our children, 95%, that are still in public education, we need those funds to actually make every child's education work in Arkansas. Not just a few.
The governor said funding education is the largest budget request so far. She added education funding goes beyond the classroom, helping address food insecurity for students and families.
One of the most heartbreaking challenges that families in poverty struggle with is food insecurity, which is why we made sure, with the work of this group, that every single student can get free breakfast at school. And we set up summer food programs so kids are getting meals even when they're not on campus. You helped make that happen.
The governor did not address the state's farming economy in her speech, but Love did, saying that the crisis continues.
Agriculture is Arkansas's #1 industry, more than $24 billion a year. But commodity prices have collapsed. Tariffs have gutted our exports.
And we do have an answer to the question of would there be a special session after the 30-day fiscal session is adjourned. The answer to that is yes. The governor confirming today in her State of the State that she will call a special session for cutting the state income tax about 0.2 of a point. Of course, that's still up in the air, but that's the plan right now. The Democrats say that cutting those taxes actually makes it harder to fund state programs. We're going to continue to monitor the session and bring you any updates. At the Capitol, Catherine Rowley, THV 11 News.
All right, Catherine, thank you. The legal battle in Jefferson County continues tonight after a new ruling from the Arkansas Court of Appeals. That panel affirmed a contempt finding against County Judge Gerald Robinson, tied to a 2022 lawsuit claiming he unfairly denied payment requests. A lower court agreed and ordered Robinson to pay more than $6,700 in attorney's fees to Sheriff Lafayette Woods Jr. The two political rivals have clashed over funding decisions several times in the recent years.
Been a gorgeous afternoon out there across Little Rock and all of Arkansas. We had just a few puffy clouds, but for the most part, it was mostly sunny. Now, I have noticed a little bit more haze gathering up with the pollen and also some dust out there. We're going to see temperatures warming up and a little more humidity as well in the coming days. Here's what's going on for you weather-wise and what it feels like outside currently. And the air mass is still rather dry. Humidity is low, nice and comfortable this evening. Little Rock at 78, Fort Smith 78. It's 82 in Texarkana. We did manage to breach the 80-degree mark today. Over the next 12, 15 hours or so, we'll see our temperatures drop off into the middle 50s, 54 by tomorrow morning when you wake up with Tracy Bean and notice mainly clear skies. But coming up, warmer temperatures, low 80s tomorrow as well as Friday. On Saturday, we'll see warmer temperatures and an increase in the chances of rain coming our way. Slight chances on Friday and Saturday, better chances on Sunday. And I'll have that forecast for you coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Tom, thank you. Well, text messages claiming you need to appear in court are making the rounds here in Central Arkansas, but officials like Little Rock Traffic Judge Herb Wright want you to know they are not real. In fact, he says he also received the text. So remember, if you receive one of these messages that look just like this on your screen, do not send money or personal information and always verify before you act. Some are also reporting SNAP theft months after the Department of Human Services reported a spike in fraud. And to help combat it, DHS is working on adding more security. They say people can have their benefits stolen through things like skimming devices. Those are machines that steal card information at checkouts and phishing scams. But they add that Arkansas doesn't have a locking feature for EBT cards, meaning that if a recipient has their information stolen, there's not much they can do to stop the theft. But they did offer one tip to help.
One of the things that we really advise people to do is change your PIN number immediately as soon as you know this has happened. And actually, as a precaution, anytime you use your card and you have to put in your PIN number to make that purchase, change it.
If someone believes their benefits were stolen, make sure you report it through the state's SNAP fraud website. And remember, starting July 1st, Arkansas will implement new restrictions on SNAP benefits, banning the purchase of soft drinks, candy, and fruit drinks with less than 50% juice. The goal is to improve nutrition and affects all EBT recipients.
Water customers in Conway are hoping for some April showers soon. Dry conditions have the local water company asking everyone to back off their usage. THV 11's Maya Ellison tries to get answers to some of the questions customers now have.
On Monday, Conway Corp customers received this notice, a voluntary water curtailment, asking them to limit non-essential water use.
Do you know what a water curtailment is?
Yes. Okay. I'm going to guess that it means that we put restrictions on the use of water.
That's pretty much when we have to not completely stop using water, but keep it for more important purposes like bathing and all that stuff.
Conway Corp CEO Brett Carroll explains that its water supply comes from Brewer Lake, which they share with Conway County Regional Water. Due to ongoing dry conditions, he says the company has entered phase 1 of its conservation plan.
So we're asking people just to be conservation minded when it comes to irrigation, when it comes to doing laundry, and we're asking all of our customers, residential, commercial, industrial, we're asking all of them to conserve water during this time.
Typically around this time of year, Lake Brewer is at a mean sea level of 330. Carroll tells me that it's at 320 right now. And if it were to drop to 314, he says that's when they'll go to phase 2.
If that happens, then we'll have mandatory curtailment. And so certainly we will ask people, it's mandatory to stop non-essential use.
Carroll says the last time mandatory restrictions were put in place was in 2024, impacting tens of thousands of customers. For now, this phase remains voluntary, but officials are urging people to cut back where they can.
Plants and our trees, everything needs water, so it is a concern. And then how long is it going to last? And will it happen again? Is there a solution?
My next question, I guess, would be, are there any other sources, if it gets really bad, are there other sources for water that we can draw on?
Some residents also took to social media, questioning whether data centers could be contributing to low water levels. Carroll says that's not the case.
There is not a data center that's operational that's even built in our city. So why people thought that caused it is beyond me.
The Conway Area Chamber of Commerce also says any proposed data center would use wastewater and not the city's drinking supply. For now, officials say improving water levels will depend on rainfall, but until then, they're asking the community to do its part. In Conway, Maya Ellison, THV 11 News.
All right, Maya, thank you. And according to the system that tracks drought, about 53% of the state is in what's called extreme drought right now.
We believe this is going to be a really big win-win for everyone.
Speaking of data centers, tonight at 10, we're sharing more about the new one planned to come to Little Rock and how you can chime in on its progress.
Also still to come here at 6, we're continuing our Red, White, and You series by introducing you to Clyde Clifford, who's been live on Arkansas radio waves for decades. He speaks on his career and more after the break.
We've talked about warmer temperatures in your forecast. Tomorrow, we begin a run of days where readings could make it into the lower to mid 80s. Look for partly cloudy skies, warmer conditions, and a slight southeast wind that will bring in more humidity with highs around the lower 80s here in Little Rock. After the break, we're going to talk about our chances of severe weather next week and your weekend forecast.